bar the whatever it is, bar anything else. Don't know what's your problem.
It says we've just lost the.
No, we're all good. We're still live.
Okay, cool.
So the opening game is Japan.
No, something's gone, man.
Is Japan Russia?
Yeah.
It's all looking good on there, so we're good. We're still live. We're still going.
Cool.
So Japan Russia is the opening on the Friday, and on the Saturday we have Australia Fiji, followed by France Argentina, which will be a key one in that one because England are obviously the top of that group, and if France or Argentina slip up against, the USA will be targeting one of them, to try and get that third place in that table, and then New Zealand South Africa. I mean, that is 3 crunch games on the second day of the Rugby World Cup, so it needs to happen. So yes, you need to be aware straight away because that's going to be a big day for you. And then you can have a sleep in the next day where you've got people like Italy, Namibia, Ireland, Scotland, and England, Tonga. But that Saturday is one that I would keep clear, folks.
just in terms of Australia, I think obviously be a lot of pressure coming on. I would imagine there's a whole heap of pressure on the CEO, Raelene Castle.
What we're hearing in the last few days.
At this time, we also heard that Jake White had also thrown his hat in the ring as well.
Well, that was an interesting one because, apparently there was a scheduled phone call, but it got leaked, so they cancelled the phone call or something. I don't know. There's some interesting stuff going on over there.
Do you think that was a good thing to cancel the phone call, or do you think there are 2 ways to look at this? One is you've just turned down a proper potential coach. The other one is you've made a statement saying we're not going to play our coaching discussions in public, Mr. Jake White. If you're going to leak things to the press, that's not impressive. So there are 2 ways of looking at it.
So it was Jake White that gave the heads up on the.
Well, I wouldn't want to get sued by him for saying that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that's the intimation I've read in the press is that that it came out of his camp rather than the Rugby Australia camp, the leak, and then Rugby Australia said, "Well, we're not playing that game, mate." So what do you?
Oh, Jesus, it's a hard one, mate. It's a mess.
Ducks and drakes.
Exactly. It's a mess over there. I think all we can do is focus on the players that they've got and see what they can do with what they've got.
Interesting, some of the stuff coming off the chat. A lot of love for Wales.
Oh, I think Wales will top the pool. I think that's very true. And it is a question of can Fiji or Georgia topple Australia and sneak it into the quarterfinals?
Not Georgia. I don't think their game's quite rounded enough. I think they'll probably give Australia a lot of give them a workout up front. No question, because we all know they love the scrum.
They just don't have backline. We've had that discussion.
No, I agree. I'm not a great. A lot of people say kind of like Georgia. Oh, they should be in the Six Nations. Oh, they're one of the top tier 2 nations. I'm like, when they beat a tier 1 nation for the first time ever, then I'll start taking them seriously. But they never have done. They lost. So that's my big. So yeah, I agree. Fiji.
Who would win out of Japan, Georgia?
I'd say Japan.
Yeah, Japan.
Yeah. So basically, what we're saying is that they've got decent players. It's a coaching issue. So Checker to go, or do you think he just needs to replace his assistant coaches?
Well, Steve's alluded to the fact that Nathan Gray's the defence coach, and you do have to wonder, well, what credentials does he bring to the job at an international level? What time does he put in the bank to be able to say, oh, yeah, he's a great defences coach? Most of his time in around rugby is around the Waratahs. You look at him, it's not exactly they've delivered consistent, spectacular results to say, oh, yeah, we've got to pick the coaching staff out of that lot because they did such a good time there.
And usually sometimes in a losing effort, at least 1 or 2 players put their heads above the parapet, but nobody really has.
No.
And that's the problem. A couple of questions have just come out. Do they look at new players? I think they may have to look at.
There's nobody there though.
Well, they have got some good, like I mentioned Higginbotham before.
So here's the problem.
Do you want to go back to Quade Cooper? He's a good footballer.
Well, we've talked about that. I don't know. I can't remember if Steve was in that conversation, but there's a fact is that when you've got when the cupboard's empty at first 5, Quade Cooper's not that bad that you discount him, right?
So but basically, they've got 4 Super Rugby teams. They've got the best players out of those teams. there's maybe one or two here or there you could change.
Yeah.
But on the whole, you couldn't throw out that entire squad and pick another squad.
Because the other issue,
it's not about changing players. It's about whether. So to me, we agree that Nathan Gray needs to go.
Yeah.
And the other question is around Larkham. Now, something that I've heard that's potentially off. I've heard it via a podcast, so it's out there in the public
domain.
Public domain via Green and Gold Rugby. Thanks, guys. But apparently, an off the record chat he had in a bar when they were in Ireland or in the UK anyway was that Nathan Gray mentioned something on the line. Sorry, not Gray. Steve Larkham made something on the lines of basically our boys don't have rugby brains. We were trying to make it a player-led kind of game plan, and they're just not bright enough. Now, that's to me.
It's cutting.
I think Larkham has to go because that attack also hasn't really fired, and we know they've got attacking players.
Well, it's interesting. It's how it changes from what I mentioned to Steve. You go back to the 80s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s, and you had that's the one thing that you saw in Australian rugby players is that they might not have been the best around, but their intellect level was far superior to their oppositions, and they usually beat them because they used their brain.
Arsenal's not a big fan of farmers.
Farmers?
New Zealand. Well, that's what most New Zealand players came from.
I didn't mention Taranaki at all, mate.
Okay.
Look, I mean, it's just the
no. So basically, Australia degrade need some coaching changes. Is the message there, and that's pretty much the end of season report for them.
Yep.
Is that Checo? You need to change your coaches.
See me.
But what Paul is saying, we could be here all night.
What I'm saying is
we'll get nowhere.
What I'm saying is we're moving on to South Africa now. So before we move on to South Africa, though, please support the channel by sharing this content, telling all your friends and how wonderful and fantastic we are. We are working on some amazing plans for 2019. Can't tell you what they are right now, but hopefully they will come off. And so do spread the word and let all your friends know about us, please. And if you fancy supporting us financially, patreon.com/Driving Maul to become a friend of Driving Maul for as little as $1 a month. You can help us buy and try and buy one of these for each of these two guys. Because let's be honest, sound quality bit dodgy at times.
As a little boy waits.
And it is Christmas time. Father Christmas could bring them one of these if enough of you guys chip in. South Africa then, new coach, new selection regime, and up to 5th in the world, including a win over the All Blacks.
A lot to like after their previous year, and it just shows you what a coach. And I think there's a lot of respect for Rassie Erasmus, not just as a coach, but also a previous player. It's also a little bit more stability in selections. They haven't always had the guys like Faf de Klerk and a couple of other individuals on deck. I think they really do need those guys on deck all of the time. No disrespect to the other
guys that come in,
the other scrum halves. They've got.
He's a very young guy, but
he's not bad. But I like what Faf de Klerk brings to the table, so to speak. And
great hair, lots of clapping.
Yeah. They'll probably look back at a couple of games that they got beaten. Namely probably the England game, which they probably could have won. Didn't quite get across the line. We won't talk about TMAs and officials though. So that's
but interesting. Agree with you. Rassie is obviously coaching ability that he has, but he's got another thing that we haven't is the fact that he's got obviously a political ability because he's been able to go into that South African political environment and get a decision turned over in terms of accessing European players. He's also gone in there and they've negotiated releases for Faf. This is like, during Super Rugby, right? And instead of saying, oh, hey, I know it's outside the international window, but can we borrow Faf for a couple of games against the All Blacks? And on the Northern Tour for the AIs, we'll give them back to you for in that international window. So he's not just the fact that he's able to run his team on the field, but he's able to do some backdoor politics type stuff as well. That helps his team out massively.
I see one of the guys, Christian, up there gives South Africa a C.
That's harsh.
Is that harsh?
Harsh.
I think maybe
B plus.
Yeah, Christian, maybe bleep B plus.
B plus. Totally. Absolutely.
They played some good code this year, and I'll tell you what would actually take that stat up. A win in New Zealand. That's that's something you put a bit of tick by. Obviously, they lost. Did they lose a series to England and South Africa?
No, they beat England. They beat England 2-1 in that. And I thought that during that time, Rassie's selection, he tried a lot of players in those opening 4 tests against Wales up in Wellington, and then those 3 against England. And I think he was trying out a whole bunch of combinations. And as you say, towards the end of the year, had settled down, and we have a pretty good idea now as to what his first 15, potentially even 23-ish is. But in that first 4, and this was, he has only had. It was one of the interesting things that their defence coach mentioned was that it'll take them 9 games to get up to speed on defence, and game 8 is when we suddenly saw them actually closing people down and not conceding lots of points. Against England, let's be honest, they gave away big leads in pretty much all the 3 games, I think, from memory, and then had to come back. But they took that out of their. They rectified that before the end of the year.
There were times they just went a little insular. They went back to using their heavy forwards to just and I think of that Wales game where they actually had a lot of territory, a lot of possession, and
didn't use the ball well,
and they just didn't use the ball well. They played a little bit of code, but when they were capable of just ranging a little bit wider. Now, once again, I've got to say that with Rassie Erasmus, is he the most chilled coach you've ever seen up in the box? He just looks really, really chilled, but I still think here's another case of him getting his selections not quite right. He's using Steph Dutoy as a